Redditors who have experienced snow, what is it like? When everything is blanketed and not touched, it's beautiful and everything is absolutely silent, at least where I live. But it is terrifying to drive on poorly plowed roads. Once it starts melting, and there is some snow piles here and there, it looks ugly, especially when it turns grey/black from all the cars. You forgot to mention it freezing afterwards. There's different kinds of snow. There's the sticky snow you can make snowmen and snowballs out of. When sticky snow falls, and then the temperature drops really low, it gets really hard, and you can't do much with it. Then there's the powdery snow that blows around in the wind, and is good for skiing, and snowboarding and sledding. It feels like you're walking on the moon, when it's freshly fallen. Sometimes in the morning, if you listen closely you can hear it blowing around and it sounds how glitter looks. A hard layer forms over powdery snow when the sun shines and melts the top layer, and then it hardens overnight. It's fun to walk on because it makes a crunchy sounds, but it's still soft on the bottom. Depending on how much powdery snow is underneath, you can put your whole legs under. Then there's slush. It usually happens on roads and parking lots, and it's like someone took a freezy/icy/slushy and dumped it everywhere. It forms puddles and is hard to drive in, but fun to jump in with rain boots in the spring. Sometimes in the middle of winter it will get above freezing and slush will form, but then freeze during the night. If it doesn't get plowed off the road before it freezes, then ridges where tires were will freeze, and that's also hard to drive on. Edit. Thank you for the awards and fun comments to read. I wrote snow is a great sound insulation. If you're in a village or a place with not much people, but still some sounds, a car far away, animals, river etc., it suddenly feels very quiet and calm, almost too much, like if the time was frozen. Unshade snow is beautiful, and it crunches while you walk on it, but once it starts to melt, when many people walked on it, it become dirty and muddy. It's very light and fragile, but when the snow become a bit old, it starts to be heavy and compact. When it's sunny, the unshade snow starts to sparkle like thousands of tiny diamonds. But when snow melts, and then it's getting colder, it can be very slippery, and puddle starts to freeze. It is one of the greatest pleasure for kids, and adult me, to break the thin layer of ice which gets formed on puddles with our boots. It's so satisfying, just like when I break the top of my creme brulee. Sorry, I'm French. Nothing else came to my mind with my spoon. Please feel free to correct my English. I'm working on it. Yeah, the sound of walking on fresh snow is really unique. I wouldn't say screeches, more crunches, but a weird fast mini crunch sound, like the sound of flipping through a deck of cards, but with the base of something heavy hitting a pillow. Different snow has different sounds too. That sound I described would be a fresh light snow. Older hardened snow crunch is almost more like ice, a faster but still bassy snapping sound. As a northern Canadian, the idea of never having seen snow is actually mind-blowing to me. We got more than 6 inches overnight last night. Driving sucks, but it's mainly because of everyone else. I don't have much trouble driving in it, but everyone else forgets how to drive. I'm from Florida. I never saw snow until I visited Quebec City in January a few years ago. I was not prepared. The first time I picked up a handful of snow, it was nothing like I expected. It was powdery and just kind of floated out of my hand. It was beautiful and the world felt quiet the first time I saw it fall. Beautiful to look at when it's under shade, but a nightmare to drive or walk in. Edit. For everyone who's saying that driving in the snow is fun, you're right. Personally, I find a lot of other people don't know how to drive in the snow, so I avoid going out if I don't have to. Also, thank you stranger for the silver. I've got two perspectives on this. The better perspective is, when I was growing up, I lived out of town and my parents had property, so it was great. Some of us would go snowmobiling, some of us liked to snowshoe, and us kids always built snow forts. Plus, if you ever got a chance to get out into the woods, it is so beautiful and peaceful. One memory that always stands out is when I took a snowshoe hike when the moon was full. No need for a flashlight, it was just so bright out, and so quiet too. I hiked up to a hill from which I could look out over Lake Superior. It was an incredible experience. Now I live in the city. In short, it sucks. There's not much to do outside when the snow comes. It just gets in the way and screws up your commute. I usually slip and fall at least once per winter. Once the snow is cleared, it's just pushed into dirty piles on the side of the road / all over the place. As a kid, my favorite memory was how it was never dark when there was snow on the ground. The muffled sound was also amazing. Sometimes it's light and falls apart in your hands, and sometimes you can pack it to make snowballs or snowmen. You can also eat it if you want. If you see a yellow patch, that's the good stuff.